Hey, Tony. Welcome and good morning. It's Monday, the 22nd of April, the Phoenix Business Exchange, Bell's Corners edition. Welcome to a nice, beautiful Monday. I'm going to share a screen and see how this works out. And three, two, one, the share button has been activated. You should be seeing something showing up on the screen. So here we are at Phoenix Business Exchange. Now, if you want to join us, you're more than welcome to come on in. It's pbex.ca. So just roll on into the space. And we have the member of the week, and is the mortgage honey, Jacqueline Richards. So Jacqueline helps you get mortgages for your house. So she does a great job, and come have a chat with her. We also have our other meeting sessions where you can join us. Obviously, this one this morning, right now, 8 to 9. Just click the red button and the Zoom will activate. Then we have a Wednesday morning one, 8 to 9, and a Thursday one. You're very welcome to join us. Just click on those links. There's an after hours group that's happening on May 7th. And then we have East Trade Winds that's happening on Tuesday, tomorrow at 8 a.m. Mix and Mingle, that's happening this week. That is tomorrow evening at 6:30 in Bell's Corners. And we also have Penny Lee dancing and moving to heel session that's happening during the week. And just bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to modify my screen here just a tad bit. There we go. And there. Okay, sorry. Just wanted to adjust something on the screen here. And we have Tony's Crystal Workshop on April 24th, again, this week. A QR directory for all Phoenix members. So if you have a question for a Phoenix member, whether it's about taxes, Eric, you need some coaching with Mike, you need a dash cam with Sam, or you need to get wired up, that's Alex, or better yet, you're looking to sell or buy a house in Atlanta, right? You can reach those members through the system in the space. Now, you'll notice the QR code on this screen. Well, business cards have that too. And what that means is you can share information quickly and share the information in wealth. That way, the person who you're dealing with and having contact with can connect with you either by text, by phone, or by email and get some more information about your website. Background information, what's been going on this year? And I apologize, it's going up and down. My mouse is a bit finicky. $65,000 worth of business has happened in referrals year to date. It's a fair bit of transaction, or over 4.6 million since 2016 between members. E-cards, 2,600, actually closer to 2,700 connections year to date. That means people have been using the card and using that QR code or the hyperlink to get there. 178 referrals have happened year to date. So that means we have something called BAMs, or business activity meetings. We've had 197 of them. That's where we get to know and understand more about our colleagues inside Phoenix, or we can help promote them. And the referrals then are where we are able to help push and promote those connections further. All right. And so I'm going to stop there because you know what? Mike's got something to tell us, and I'm going to let Mike tell us some stuff. So I'm going to stop sharing now.
Great. Thank you, Bernie. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody had a great weekend. So perhaps as kids, you remember this magical spell that gives us what we desire, and that was abracadabra. And hands up, who remembers that word? Abracadabra, that magical spell. Well, now that we're all grown up or what have you, we believe it's more our words and our beliefs that provide us with our desires. And abracadabra translated means I will create as I speak. That's what abracadabra. I will create as I speak. The abra part is I will create, cadabra as I speak. What might this mean to you? Well, as you create and bring your story, your wishes to life by speaking your desires into existence and form, meaning like you're asking for it. You're asking permission to have what you want in life. And how do you do this? Well, clarity on what you are and not what you need. The key here is have a specific and intentional focus on one thing. I gave an example before on an education about a storm that happened, and an old man living by the sea walked out, and that day, that night of the storm, thousands and thousands of starfishes washed up on the beach. And as he was walking along the beach, he noticed a young man bending down, picking up something and throwing it into the ocean. And when he walked up to him, he says, "What are you doing?" And I'm saving the starfish. And the old man looked around and said, "What possible difference could you make?" And the young man bent down, picked up a starfish, fired it off into the ocean. Plink, it went into the sea. And he turned to the old man with tears in his eyes and he said, "I made a difference to that one." So that's the thing. You're going to go through life and you're going to sometimes feel like you're on a beach with thousands of things. And it's just like, how do I tackle all this? It always is the one thing principle. And back to abracadabra, ask for this desire only if you have connected to your heart and bring forth your heart set and gratitude, love, and inner knowing that this is already being gifted and now it is called to form, which means basically it's kind of that law of attraction that you've heard about. You know, when you ask for it or whatever, it's already there, but it's because you're asking for it, it's coming. And breathe the desire in to action by noticing how many ways it has been showing up, and perhaps you haven't noticed it. And also, abracadabra, also consider that this desire might not come in the form you anticipated. It might so look completely different, but it's still the same thing. And abracadabra, moving forward, your current perception of your existing model of the world. And finally, abracadabra, be prepared to be surprised and stay in awe of all possibilities. So that's today's education. I hope everybody, if it gets a little thick out there for you today, abracadabra, make it happen.
Mike, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm just going to post in the chat the LinkedIn Live post feed so you can post content in there. So anything you're trying to promote, anybody you're trying to reach, that way they can see it on LinkedIn. One other piece to touch into that. What are we looking for members? Kind of what's going on. So if you know somebody that's in business, come on in. We have some people we are looking for. And if you do see somebody or you think, hey, this be a good member, reach out to Penny Lee and she'll help work them through the process of becoming a Phoenix. So dog groomer, the insurance, we're looking for home and auto insurance for this group, also life insurance. With all that said, I'm going to stop and I'm going to swing over to Alex and then Lana. So Alex, over to you. Do your intro. Tell us what's been happening in the week, man. And go ahead, sir.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm Alex from eVolta Electric. We are Ottawa's low-carbon electrical contractor, meaning we find projects where we help people reduce their carbon footprint. And we do this through electric vehicle charging solutions, energy storage solutions, building automation, LED lighting, and of course we do general electrical work as well. In terms of what we've been up to last week, we've been focusing on a lot of partner relationships. So we're building a partner network. We're bringing solar to the suite of products, as well as all the building automation things that we do as well. So if you need electrical contractor in Ottawa, give us a call. We'd be happy to provide a quote. Thank you.
Alex, thank you. And Lana, and then Mike. Lana, go ahead.
Good morning, Lana Burnley. I am a 23-year-old, yeah, right. I am a 23-year veteran of the Ottawa residential real estate market. And two things that came up last week. We're not going to talk about the federal budget or the capital gains tax, which they are now levying on, or increasing the levy for your second home, like your cottage. I won't talk about that because it's unfortunately has increased and is sort of, what do you call it, when it's discouraging investors, which I find very sad. But there was reintroduction of the 30-year amortization for mortgages, which is very good for cash flow for first-time buyers, especially. It was absent for 12 years prior to that. And we also had RSPs. If you needed to borrow from your RRSP, you now have up to $60,000 you can take out for your down payment. And it used to be a max of $35,000. So I'm super thrilled about that. And as long as you pay back your RSP, you now have $60,000 more you can add to your down payment to buy a home. So I am super thrilled about that option and about the 30-year amortization, which actually gives you a bit more buying power. So I'm Lana Burnley. One of my greatest joys is being trusted with your referrals. Thank you.
Lana, thank you so much. And over to Mike and then Sam.
Thank you. A nice tagline, Lana. Morning, Mike here from MW Motivational Life Coaching. This time of year, I'm noticing that I'm getting some nice calls about university students that are transitioning out of university into what I call the real life, their new job, their vocation. And, they're all comfortable in their little nest that they had for the last 4 or 5 years, and now they're moving out. So what happens is escalating anxiety because of different types of emotions, because, to transit over into the real life, there's an end and then there's the beginning, and the part in between that can be very emotional. So a good referral for me is if you do know a university student that is leaving their university and going into the real life, and they're kind of mixed up and they want a little bit of guidance, they want somebody to talk to kind of smooth out the emotions, that would be a great referral for me, motivated by results. Thank you.
Mike, thank you so much, Sir Sam, and then Tony.
Thank you, Bernie. Good morning, everyone. Sam Sturz, connectedcars.ca. There's my contact information in the chat. Happy Earth Day to each and every one of you. Taking on what Mike mentioned there about the starfish, it is Earth Day today, so I recommend, if you get a chance, there might be one piece of garbage there on the ground that you see. And can you imagine how clean the Earth would be if 1 billion people picked up one piece of garbage today? It would be a big difference. Anyway, besides that, Sam Sturz, Connected Cars. I do all kinds of things like Bernie mentioned there. Dash cameras is my main thing. I also do minor repairs of cars, oil changes, brake jobs, and these days doing lots of tire rotation. Amazing enough, a lot of my customers are getting their oil changed at the same time this year as getting their tires changed. So I'm happy about that. One thing, if you do your own or you have someone do your tires, your summer tires on, one thing very important is to torque them down properly. Every year I hear a horror story about a tire coming off a vehicle on a highway or something and causing an accident or a death. Make sure whoever does that work that does it properly. And one thing I do is I hand tighten, torque down each and every lug nut on those wheels that I do. So take that for a suggestion. Whoever does your tire installation, to make sure that they're on properly. Things gone on well in the last week. Let's see here. My friend Dave Belleville, he and I had a squash match last week. He wasn't that generous to me, so he kicked my butt as usual. He's a good squash player. Steve Brennickmeyer came to me and I did his tire rotation, put his summer tires on, and did an oil change for him. My friend Alex, he's on today. I keep advertising for you there, Alex Evolta, and with my receipts. That's it. Sam Sturz, connectedcars.ca. Today's mobile electronics without the cost of a new vehicle, and lots more.
Sam, thank you so much. And over to Tony.
Hi, everybody. Tony Jennis from Higher Self. I'm the spirit guy of the group. What I'm also is a master teacher. Through Soma Energetics, they have a program where they could certify a practitioner to use sound therapy, vibrations, frequencies, to be able to heal various things in the body and various trauma things that are going on, especially with children. As part of the program, we're trying to implement an additional part of their certification is to be able to do what they call distance tuning. And this was, of course, a big one in the middle of COVID when nobody could go anywhere. There was lockdowns and people couldn't leave their homes. They couldn't obviously come into our downtown office. We had to close it because of it. And so this way people can stay at the home, and so can the practitioner, and can send that energy over to that person. It's basically taking vibration and frequency, converting it into energy and sending it to whoever it is anywhere in the world. And I am heading that up. I'm actually the master teacher that can that teach other practitioners how to do this. And it's going to be a massive thing. It's going to be something very much in need as people move, as you have clients that come for regular tuning sessions, as I do, and I'm constantly busy. And if they move, we can. It doesn't matter where they go. South America, I can still tune them regardless. And what I need is this class is actually happening this Saturday, where I'll be teaching about a dozen tuning practitioners all around the world. There's some in Australia, United States, various parts of Canada, and I'm looking for a volunteer, someone that I could use as training for a tuning session on how that tuning is, and that person just stays at home and they just log in at a certain time of the day, and we could tune them and show people how to do it. There's no charge because we're using it for training. You know anybody who needs a free tuning session? Have them call me. Tony Jennis from Higher Self. We are here to raise your spirits globally.
Tony, thank you so much. Let's see. We got Sam who can tune up your brakes and your tires, and Tony tune up your innards. This is awesome. Bernie Fransberg's my name, and you know what? I connect businesses, and part of that process involves a podcast. So Knack for Business. We're recording podcast 95, 96 this week, and this is season 2. So it's been going well. It's introducing and cross-connecting people. So why does that matter? Well, sometimes the people I talk to are people you might want and or need if you have a problem that's cropping up. So if you're finding that you're not getting the reach, or you're finding you're running into a stalemate situation, get a hold of me. We'll have a chat and go from there. Perhaps you have a story to share that might help someone else grow and go further. And that's kind of the crux of it. I'm also involved with the Property Wizard podcast, which is about investing in real estate and understanding what the parts are. Doesn't make you the realtor, doesn't make you the mortgage lender, but it does make you informed. And with all that said, all that finery done, we're going to swing over to Mr. Eric Sonego, who's going to talk to us about how money flows out of our hands elsewhere. Eric, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bernie. The last budget did not have that much to say, except it echoes back to the 1980s, to the concept of integration. And the concept of integration is a concept of, if my receptionist is making $25,000, or let's say $45,000 a year in salary, and I make $45,000 in the stock market, the both of us should be taxed at the same way. If she pays $4,000 in tax, I should be paying $4,000 in tax. Right? That's called integration. In 1971, that was blown out of the water with capital gains. And capital gains was what the stock market wanted to have, not what the individuals wanted to have. But the governments, being what they are, they gave it to all of the people who had property. So it was a tax that, for lack of a better term, helped people with property and not people with salaries. And the disbalance in taxation happened then. So is capital gains good? Yes, it's good. Does it create more investment? Not necessarily. IBM, Hewlett Packard, all of those big companies that were there when we were kids were created without capital gains. And with when you sell a share, you pay the whole cost of the gain. So that is where we're going. Whether we elect a liberal government, whether we elect a PC government, whether we elect an NDP government, that is where it's going. The elimination of capital gains, because people think of it as being, not integrated well enough with the tax system. So if you go to a university and you talk to people in policy of taxation, whether it's from the right to the left, they will all tell you the same thing, that you need to integrate the tax system and make it fairer. So because of that, because of making the tax system fairer, the message goes to the CRA about, making us behave differently, and invoking, I would say, invoking a method of auditing. And today I'm going to be talking about how to prevent a CRA audit and what creates a CRA audit. So I'm going to share my screen.
Computer
And-
screen's up, sir.
Okay. So,
If you actually hit F5,
okay, just a sec.
there you go. You're in presentation mode.
So this is who we are, and you know, we are located in Canada. There are 7 reasons, among many other reasons, of course, but there are 7 main reasons why CRA will send you a letter wanting more information. And that letter is usually the preamble of an audit if answers do not come. And that the first reason is forgetting to report income. Now that can happen to anybody. You know, you could work for 2 months in a company and they forget to give you your T4, they file it with CRA. When you do your taxes, you don't have it. And they find the T4 and they send you a letter saying you forgot to declare this. Most of the time when it's honest, they reassess you without even telling you. And they say, and they'll say to you, we found income that you made that you were not aware of. We've reassessed your taxes. But sometimes it's people who do not report income because they don't want to pay the tax. And that is different than forgetting a slip. And that you need to go to a tax lawyer if they catch you with that. Because it's not peanuts. It's not peanuts, and it's usually people who are multi they have businesses in different different places around the world. They're multinational businesses. So multinational businesses will take profits out of one place to declare them in a lower regiment of tax. And when that happens, CRA will call you. And I have one client like that. In 30 years of practice, this year I have one client like that. And if you want to see what they send you, you will lose, you know, I think you will lose your hair if you see the questionnaire that they sent you, right? It took me 3 days to answer the questionnaire. And it took me, I would say, a week of training the client in how to organize themselves so that they don't create more problems for themselves than they're creating. The second thing that they look at is claiming unusually high credits or deductions. And that is based on CRA's view of you. So if you are if you are a retail store on Elgin Street and you've been there for 25 years, even taking care of inflation, you would see that your income would be the same over 25 years. And your profit should be the same. Of course, the numbers are going to be different because prices have changed, but the trend is the same. And CRA compares that, and then if you have a year that is out skewed, if you have a year where your rent goes from $25,000 a year to $250,000 a year, that will prompt a question. And sometimes those are accounting mistakes. You put things in the wrong place. But sometimes when they come, they tend to have the answer before they come to your place. So they tend to already know why the thing happened, and they come with a proposal for you to correct yourself. The next thing is some people that I deal with in particular do not take them for real. So they send you an information letter, like it could be on anything from medical expenses to charitable donations. They send you that letter and you do not answer it. That automatically will create a request for audit. Now, I don't have a slide for this because I forgot when I was doing this. there's also another reason why you get audited in CRA is what you do with payroll. If you decide to get too aggressive with payroll and start, treating all of your connections in your place as subcontractors, and they get a bit of an indication for this. Now, payroll payroll audit can come from two ways: accidental, or you fire somebody in your place. And if you fire someone in your place that should have been an employee and is not an employee, the government has a rule to pay them unemployment insurance. So the employee goes and collects unemployment insurance. It sends the unemployment insurance to the government, the government departments, the governments that pay unemployment insurance, the governments that pay benefits, and eventually it gets to CRA, and CRA says unemployment insurance. Let's look at the payroll, and if lo and behold there's no payroll for that person, that creates a questionnaire where they're measuring employee-employer responsibility. And if you answer one question out of the 50, you lose. Now, I have never had a winner in this. I have never had someone who had beaten CRA on this, because when they come, they've already won. When they send the questionnaire, they already have you. So you can make it worse or pay it and keep them out of your office. Their questionnaire is so one-sided to show that the person was an employee that anybody would fail it. So be careful with payroll. And if they come to you, the problem is not, if you have one employee only, you're okay, because that will be a small EICPP payment of less than $5,000. But if you have 15 employees that you treated like that, and they come, they will assess a whole bunch of them as employees. And I've given advice to clients not to do this. And over the years, some people have not listened to me or their accountants, and they've always lost. Like in the 1990s, I had a client in Hall, and a training company, and their name was Desnoyers Racine. And they gave their teachers, they treated their teachers as self-employed individuals. And I told them not to do it. And Nicole Desnoyers said to me, sorry, we're going to change accountants. We don't agree with your interpretation. And I said, it doesn't matter who you deal with. That's how it's going to come. So they changed accountants. And 3 years later, she called me back, and she called me back and apologized and said, you were right. When they sent me the questionnaire, I had lost already. So be careful with employee-employee relationship, and do not treat it lightly, because they already have the evidence that they're going to sink you with when they come into your office. Claiming unusually high credits and deductions. This does not happen very often, but it happens with some people who want to be aggressive because of what year they've had. This happened quite often during the COVID time. During COVID, I have maybe 10 cases right now of people that claimed, excessive expenses during COVID time. And the government is not saying, we don't believe you. The government is saying, show us. And when they say show us, you have to have the accounting records that show that you had these expenses. we're doing 2 cases as well of people who report for GST different than they report for their financial information, which is a hole in the head. You know, how can you tell the 5th floor that you're making, you know, $200,000 and the 6th floor that you're making $180,000? That is a hole in the head. So they compare that, and I have, you know, I have 2 clients who did not believe me, and they do their own GST, and we received notice from CRA that their HST sales does not equal their financial statement sales, and that prompted an audit, and we're in the middle of one now. Forgetting to report income. I don't know if I'm in the right place. Home office deduction, sorry. Home office is, I would say that the fault here is on CRA's side. The CRA takes the view that nobody should have more than 20% of their home expenses attributable to their home office. Now, that comes because of municipalities. Municipalities say that if you change your living quarters by more than 20%, you are changing the status of your living quarters. You're changing physically what your living quarters look like, and therefore anything less than 20% is assessed as the same property class. Anything over 20% might reassess the property taxes. And that was said historically in the 1950s. And CRA took that 20% and marry themselves to it, and they think of it as the law. It's not the law, but what it is that if you put 20% or less, they leave you alone. If you put 20% or more, they might ask you to give them more information on it. Now, some people live in very small houses and have, you know, one room in a 2-bedroom house. That would be a 50% office expense. And CRA over time has always audited those people. But usually we convince CRA to come in with a tape measure and measure the place, and that tends to relax them. But if you are going to put more than 20% of your office, be careful, because that is not what they are comparing it to, and that could prompt them to audit you. This is the reason we have accountants. People want to write off 100% of their car, and I understand that we drive a lot. I understand that if you drive if you're a real estate agent like Lana and you are, you know, selling homes, that you're going to have a lot more automobile expense than me, the accountant, who only goes, you know, to maybe 10 places a month. Most people come here. So Lana would, you know, some real estate agent would say, well, you know, I drive 100% of the time. 100% of the time means that you have no life outside the car. And there is also the fact that most people who break this rule have a 10.1 car, a 10.1 asset, as opposed to a 10.0 asset. A 10.0 asset is a commercial vehicle. And a commercial vehicle, you can use 100% of the time because it looks like a commercial vehicle. So if you're a real estate agent and you splash on your card, John Doe Real Estate, with a big phone number on it, and it's permanent on the car, and you would be embarrassed to take that car to your doctor or to your daughter's ballet class. That's 100%. But if it's a 10.0, that's called a passenger vehicle. And and I say to people, if you go to my street and you don't know my car, if you're driving by my street and you don't know my car, I have a 10.1 asset. If you drive by the street and you say, oh, that's Eric's car, the accountant, because you can see it in the car, I have a 10.0. And very few people that I have as clients have a 10.0 car. Because if you spend $150,000 on a souped-up BMW, you don't want to splash it with, financial planning, business, and this, that, and used car sales or whatever. You don't want to splash that in it. You want to enjoy the car, so you cannot drive that car 100% of the time, and that will always create a query. Now, what happens sometimes is that you change the nature of your work. I'll give you an example. I have a company that had one shareholder who was an IT engineer for 4 or 5 years, for 10 years, IT engineer who drove his car, X amount of the time to see his clients. Then his wife got laid off from a retail big business, and she started doing retail consulting, and she did it through the company, but her market is North America wide, so she travels all over the place with a car, and her mileage is like 10 times more than her husband's. So when we did the first year, that they went nuts at CRA, because they saw, this mileage expense, it used to be like $8,000, and all of a sudden it's like $50,000, and they went nuts. They sent letters. They wanted to meet them, and then I had to explain to them that the company made more money because all of these sales came from this other business that his wife was doing, and that is a different type of business. And it took 2 years to convince them, of letters back and forth. So sometimes they get an idea of who you are and they don't like to change their minds. Overusing tax shelters. That is something that we don't see very often, but we see it used to be more prevalent, I would say 10 years ago. 10 years ago, people were, using charities as tax shelters, and they were using the tax system to the benefit of organizations. And I had clients who got caught in this, and the last one just finished getting paid from CRA. Now, this usually is greed, right? So, and the first time I came across it was in 2001. I am listening to I'm getting the ticker tape of taxation on my computer. What happened in tax today, and I see the name of 3 guys that I went to school with. One is an accountant. This is what happened after they left school. One became an accountant. One became a rabbi, and one became a Anglican priest. So, and they stayed friends, and they went golfing, and they did all of that kind of stuff, and they had a Facebook page about what they were doing, all of that kind of stuff. So the accountant said to and the accountant was the accountant to both of them. Okay, so the accountant says to the Anglican priest, how is your charity working? And the priest said, well, it's not doing very well because we are we are faced with a decreasing numbers of people in the organization. So he asked the rabbi, and the rabbi said the same thing. So he said, why don't you each other, invent people and give receipts that way? Why don't you increase your receipts that way? And then, I can put it through when I do your statements, I'll make sure that it is consistent. So they started this, like I would say, in 1992. In 2001, I see that ticker tape about these three guys who were arrested for tax evasion in Toronto. So I pick up the phone and I call my mom, and I said to her, "Mom, is this them?" And she says, "Yes." The whole city's talking about it. So sometimes it's greed, and sometimes it's stupidity. And I think these three guys, I think they got hit over the head with a golf club too often. And the last thing that I want to talk about, which is something that I see these days quite a lot, is rental property that keeps losing money. Now, it's okay to lose money in a rental property, but not for 10 years. So, that's the thing. That's to say the nice way, but not for 10 years. You are insulting the intelligence of both your accountant, CRA, and your friends if you tell this to your friends. So be careful about this. Now, in fairness to CRA, they don't worry too much about this because they get you on the other end. When you lose money in a rental business, they write it down and they keep it for the life you have the rental business. And then when you sell it, they increase your capital, your capital gain by the losses that you've had. So the longer you have kept that property, the less you will have as a capital gain, because it adjusts your capital gain. And if you want to know how much you have of losses, you can go to the net investment loss, cumulative net investment loss that we all have with CRA, and you look at that, and you see that if you have a rental business that has lost money, that is much bigger than it is for other people who don't have that rental business. And that's what they're doing. They're keeping tabs on that, and they will come to ask you to pay more when you do the capital gain. The other thing that CRA does is change the office of who's talking to you depending on the severity of what they're doing with you. So you might not know this, but most of us here, excuse me, most of us in this area report to the Sudbury office. And most of us don't think about it. That's where most of the important mail goes. Now, if all of a sudden you get some other office of CRA talking to you, or some other division of CRA talking to you, go to your accountant, come to us, or go to a tax lawyer, because that's dangerous. And that happened here this year when a questionnaire came, and I looked at it, and it wasn't the CRA of the client's area. It was the offshore section of CRA. And if the offshore section of CRA is calling you, they have a lot more than you that they're worried about. You are just a cog in a place that they're investigating. Lo and behold, all of the employees in this guy's company, the owner of the company, all of the employees got a letter from the offshore. So something is happening with that company. It's a prominent high-tech company. Something is happening with how something has happened overseas with them that they're not telling us here. And all of that comes by just looking at who wrote the letter, and where it comes from. So and that's something we should all be careful about, that we keep talking to the taxation office that belongs to us, to our region, and something not out of the ordinary comes. Now, most people, report to Sudbury. People are incorporated GST is out of Newfoundland. So, all of those things are within the country. All of those things are explainable, because you can see if you get a GST query, we say HST office, St. John's, Newfoundland, and everybody goes there, and that's division of labor that they do at CRA. But if they do something that is not within the realms of their offices, it's from outside, be careful. Now, are there any questions after this exciting?
Eric, there are more red flags than a bullfight in this one.
Eric, what's the most you could write off of your car that wouldn't raise a bullfighting red flag?
The more aggressive you want to be, the more of a mileage record you have to have.
The mileage, yeah.
Right. If you have a mileage record, that is unrefutable. That will win at the highest level of court. If that mileage record is right.
Oh, okay.
The problem happens if you say that you go to, we're both real estate agents, okay, and we're both, let's say, a mile away from each other. You're a mile north of me and I'm a mile south of you. So, and we both go and show a house in cart.
Okay.
Right. So you say you drove 300 kilometers, and I say I drove 100 kilometers. That's where the problem lies. Right. So make sure that you're counting kilometers the way it happens, and not kilometers the way we feel. You might feel like you drove 300 kilometers, but in fact, you only drove 100.
Yeah. Okay. Even if I keep a pillow and a desk in my car.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I was in the room. That when we were doing this white paper on taxation, when Alan McKetton was the Minister of Finance, and he said to us, "I don't know why the F you could have 100% drive, because you should, if you do that, you are F living in your car."
Yeah.
Right. So if they show up and you don't have a house, and they meet you in your car, and that's your address, that's your PO box, then sure, you can get 100%.
Yeah. Parking lot of Corvus Sport.
Right. But then you can advertise yourself as the homeless real estate agent.
Yeah, that's an oxymoron.
Mike, you had a question? You had a question?
Yeah, thank you, Bernie. Yeah, thanks for your presentation, Eric. There's so much to learn about accounting. I always say to new entrepreneurs, they're like, "Oh, accountants are expensive." I'm like, "Well, accountants really are free at the end of the day, because they're going to save you a lot of money, which that you'll never know how to retrieve, and they're going to save you a lot of pain from thinking." The question is, though, for a new entrepreneur starting off in business that's incorporated, done it all right, and they're collecting HST, but in their first year they're building their business and they don't hit like a really high threshold. Is there do they still, even if they sold $1,000, do they still have to pay the HST on that, or is there a threshold up to whatever that they don't have to?
The problem with GST is that the rule for new businesses is confusing, because they say to you that if you sell less than 30,000 in any for any 4 consecutive quarters, you don't have to report HST. But if you sell $200 and you collect HST, you have to report HST. So the problem happens when people collect HST, even if they're below the threshold, then they're automatically supposed to report it. And what I tell new entrepreneurs is, forget about the HST. You can have an HST account, put zeros on it, claim your input tax credit the first year. The second year, when you're having sales, you have already an HST account.
Thank you.
Eric, just a quick question about the home office. I've got a basement that I've dedicated for all my training sessions, and of course everything I do with Phoenix and all the other businesses is all in the basement in the finished area. So do I have to count all the rooms in the house and then divide it by whatever the percentage will be, or how does that work?
You would take the whole measurement of your house as the 100, and then you take the measurement of your office as the fraction of that 100.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's size.
Yes.
Okay.
Now when I moved my office home, I did not move. I moved. I did more of an independent move than moving home. I moved my office internet here and left my house internet upstairs. I changed I have a different meter for the electricity here. And I did that because there's nobody upstairs on an ongoing basis. My wife works and she's out of the house. So there was nobody upstairs. And most of the electricity spent in this house is the office. Right? So I had to have a separate meter so that I could say, I'm going to write all of the electricity because, my house upstairs has one television and one microwave and that kind of stuff, right? Which, does not, here we have phone systems and we have the server, we have all of that kind of stuff, which takes all of that electricity, and it dwarfs what I do in the whole house. So the only way I could prove it to CRA is by having a different meter and say, no, this meter is for the office. But that costs money.
But you only have like one furnace that will heat everything.
Yes.
But where you are, most of the heat you're going to be using during the day because that's where everybody is, all your employees.
Yes. So we take that into account as well.
Yeah. Okay.
We take that into account.
Eric,
yes.
If someone has, let's say, 2-3 businesses and they're running it out of the home office.
Yeah.
How do you split that? Do you split it between the 3 businesses, or is the percentage that you work on the business? How do you compartmentalize that?
Well, like let's say you have one business and it's your business and you take 20% of your house. Now you have 2 other businesses which are your business and you're sitting in the same chair. So unless the other businesses need supplies and inventory and so on, if they're both, if all of them businesses are basically the same, they're just different divisions of something, then I would say you only spend 20% of your cost. If you decide that the work you're doing now, in your case of introducing people to other people, you decide that you're going to be selling something, and put it in your garage and having a showroom upstairs and all that kind of stuff, then that changes, right?
Okay.
But if they audit you on home office expense, they'll usually come to visit you, right? So when if CRA comes here, they know that there is employees here, it's a big place, all of that kind of stuff. They know that, they see it. If they come to your place and you say you have home office expense and you meet them in your kitchen and that's all you have a computer on the side of the table, they claim 20%, but don't claim more than that.
Okay.
That is that is my safe advice to you.
Excellent.
Like what I tell people that become my clients for the first time is that my job really is to keep them out of trouble. It's not really to do their taxes. It's to keep them out of trouble, right? So that's why you do an accountant. And if I say, I can't help you, go to a tax lawyer. It's big deal.
Well,
It's
it's too
big deal.
far. The problem's gone too far for too
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
big
And
deal.
when you did the rabbi and the Anglican priest and the accountant, I thought there was a bar in that story that was
Yeah.
coming together.
Yeah. And I
And there's a
visited
duck
I visited
involved
the
or something.
accountant. I visit the accountant from time to time, and when I go to Toronto, he's become a friend of mine. I visit from time to time, and he got 2 years of house arrest. The accountant, the priest and the rabbi got 1 year of house arrest, and they were allowed out to meet their flock.
Are you mean that's a real story in real life?
Yes,
Oh my goodness.
yes.
Okay, you're hired.
Yeah.
That's and you should see how my face when my mother told me on the phone. Oh yeah, the whole city knows about this.
Wow. Oh
Because they
boy.
were and the entire U of T business school knew about it.
Hey, question to ask,
Ouch.
Eric. Did their membership increase inside each of their respective religious congregations?
No, no. What
That's more
happened?
that
You know how they got caught? They got caught because a business in downtown Toronto got audited, and it was run by a Jewish family, and the CRA saw this thing from an Anglican church donation. And what happened was the by accident, the auditor from CRA was Jewish and asked a question.
oh, just takes
And,
one. Just takes one moment.
and the whole house of cards fell. Boom. But it was not the church being audited or the synagogue being audited. It was some textile company in the other side of town that happened. And they got frightened and they told the truth. And they sunk the rabbi and the priest. Boom.
Wow. Eric, thank you for your presentation today. I'm going to close this off with a quick quote. And so this is kind of paradoxical considering the quote. Strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. Napoleon Hill. So
And being authentic.
it wasn't kind of the growth experience they were expecting, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
That was good, Eric. That was really good. I thought for sure. I thought for sure there was a bar and a joke coming in there with the priest and a rabbi.
No, that was
true.
That was true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was true. That was I was shocked when I heard I mean, I can make fun of it now, but it was really, really really frightening then.
My brother was a cop in Toronto, for Toronto Metro, and he said, the people that get caught are the greedy ones.
Yeah,
greedy ones.
You do it once, you leave. You don't, unless of course you got the wheelbarrow. Unless of course you got the wheelbarrow one. They always thinking the guy's stealing something, but he can't figure it out. But it's the wheelbarrow, right?
Yes.
The nose on your face, it gets missed, but the greedy ones that get caught. He would say typically.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's always the case, right? That's always the case. Taxation is a fight against greed, really. The basis element of taxation, if you speak to a CRA auditor, is the fight against greed. It's not really to make sure that debits and credits and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's it's either stupidity, not having professional advice, or greed. You're in that spectrum. or
Yeah.
you're crazy, or you're crazy. In that case, I would give him the name of my psychiatrist, and I would say, I'm
How
crazy.
about It's good to know if I ever get contacted by the offshore account agency.
Yes.
CRA. Like,
Yes.
oh my effing God. I just dropped my pants. Tell me what I ate for supper last night. Get it over with.
Yes. Um,
Yeah, Eric,
Actually,
just as a quick note, when I
Yes.
was in your office, we were going to talk about the distribution of the space down, to take it off, because I have Phoenix and I got Higher Self and the other incorporated company. What was the best way? Because it's probably I'm guessing it's around 15% roughly.
yes, but what I was trying to tell you is, you've been to my office. You've been to my office. You've seen my
Yes.
office. If I say that I'm going to be giving seminars, okay, I'm going to be going out into the public and giving workshops. Okay, let's say on financial stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
and I see people, on hotel and that kind of hotel room and so on. But in my office, I've increased the size of my office to run that. Even if I bring another employee, if they come to work on that business, if they come here, I've not increased the size. I've increased the size of my payroll, but I've not increased the size of my office. I've not made it any bigger. So you have to be careful that you keep that in mind. You can have more than one office in the same space, more than one company in the same space, but and you might get more income streams coming as a result of that, but you're using the same space. If you
Yes.
were out in the world, in a rental place, in a rental office, you would not be increasing the rental office necessarily. You would be doing more out of the rental office.
Right.
Right. So that's how they're thinking. That's how CRA is thinking.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So do you just need the list of expenses for the home and like the rent?
Yes, and then the percentage. Now, if
guys,
you're incorporated,
guys, I'll leave you.
yeah.
Oh, Eric,
Okay.
one quick question. If my
Yes.
wife, she works part-time at home. Oh, no, sorry.
Yes.
Works for the hospital 4 days a week at home. She works one day at the hospital. If she claims expenses and I claim expenses like internet, hydro, etc.,
Yes.
portion of, is that
Yes.
doable?
It is doable. It is doable if you keep it, if it adds that to 20%.
Got it. Okay. Adieu.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Bye, Tony.
Okay. Take care, Eric. Thanks.
Bye.